Margaret Kuhlman of Soul Astrology. This new moon on the 29th of December is in Capricorn, nearly 8 degrees, with Mercury having retrograded past it only just. So there they all are together. When you look at the picture, it looks as if the sun and moon are at a point of a T-square, but actually, if you go by the numbers of degrees, you'll realise that the sun and moon are right where Mercury is, and that T-square is pointing at Pluto. So, having said that, a lovely thing about this chart is that the Sun, Moon and Mercury are all making a lovely trine aspect to the North Node of the Moon, which is in Virgo at nearly 5 degrees. So that the heart of the situation is that we will be communicating about practical issues in a way that concerns the care of individuals and of situations. Virgo always wants to make the world a better place. So when Mercury trines it from Capricorn, which is the competent one, and the one who is capable of manifesting things, it does suggest that there is a strong move towards fulfilling exactly what is necessary for people in need. It also means that it sextiles the South Node, so connecting with the way it has been, that is to say the damage we have already done, addressing that, and there is Mars and Neptune right beside the South Node. So this is about the sensitivity to the past, to the damage we've done, the sensitivity towards the suffering of people. I don't know if this is more to do with the sea, the oceans, because it is Pisces, but I mean, Neptune's been in Pisces for a while now, but this does seem to be focusing on that as well. But it is really the whole of humanity. So the Mars being there means that we're all open to all the emotion and any emotion that's floating about. And at the moment, what's floating about is a lot of fear. These are turbulent times, and part of our survival equipment is that things should be steady and secure. So it feels sometimes as if our very survival is being threatened, although most of us are not actually, in fact, facing life-threatening situations. Capricorn is concerned with the facts, because unless you put both feet into them, you can't really do anything about the situation you're in. So we have to accept what is, and crying about the past is a waste of energy on that level. A certain amount of sympathy, empathy, whatever, is a very good thing, and maybe helps other people to flow through their difficulties and come through into a calmer space themselves. But apart from that, we really need the detached view of things that Uranus gives us. In this chart, Venus connects to Uranus, and it's in Aquarius, Uranus' own sign. It's part of that cradle of aspects. Uranus, Venus, Saturn and Jupiter, all connecting beautifully with each other. They are in fire and air. It's very much about the space that each individual needs for their own growth and expansion. And the Saturn, ruling Capricorn and yet being in Sagittarius, seems to suggest that everything is still in the melting pot. That all these things that are practical solutions that are come to and promised are not able yet to be fulfilled, because we're still struggling with our beliefs and our attitudes, trying to find that place where our personal survival doesn't matter quite as much as the pain our neighbour may be suffering. So as Mercury is retrograding, and has been since the 18th of December, we are looking over the decisions that we may have made in the past, looking back on how things have been. Again, it's the facts that are important. No sense of guilt is of any value, or blame. Just to see what has been done, what the results are. Capricorn is ace at learning from its experience. So with the Mercury retrograding through Capricorn, It is examining the experience of the recent past, seeing how it came about perhaps, but also how we can deal with it now, deal with the results of what we did. Mercury will be retrograding until the 8th of January, and between the 4th and the 12th of January it will actually be back into Sagittarius. So as it goes back into Sagittarius for 4 days and then turns around before it comes forward again, I feel that that little window of time is for us to make readjustments, to actually say, you know, I was wrong, and I need next time I try this to take such and such into consideration as well. If we can do this, just readjust, when Mercury goes back into Capricorn, just moments after the full moon on the 12th of January, the next period of time, the next 2 weeks after the full moon, will be the run-up to Mercury reaching Pluto properly. Mercury will reach Pluto on the 29th of January, the day after the next new moon. So the whole of the rest of January is that run-up through the possibility of trying out new schemes. I'm thinking of it as being experimental. We need to have a go at things, not hold back from them, because only by having a go do we get the necessary experience to learn from. But if we have a go with the view that what we're trying out is something new and we don't know how it will result, we maintain a certain flexibility and a certain detachment or distance from what's actually going on that enables us to see the moments where we need to change course, perhaps. The plan would be to take it slowly, to go forward slowly, deliberately, carefully, watching and monitoring all the time. So the full moon has Mercury on the brink of going forward again into Capricorn, the Sun having just passed Pluto by a few days, Mars having just passed Neptune, and Jupiter having just opposed Uranus. So it looks as if a lot is going to happen in the first 2 weeks of January, while these aspects become exact. Then we get to the full moon and start to deal with things in a more practical way, perhaps. We may still not get to the nub of the issue, whatever the issue is for you personally, whatever it is for the countries, the different countries. During the second half of the month, of course, President Trump gets inaugurated in America, and a lot of speculation will start to be tested out. The pattern in the chart is of a great square, or a grand cross, as they say, looking at the oppositions. So it does suggest that there will be difficulties. But the thing I love about this chart is the 2 quincunxes that hold these 2 patterns together. So the pattern that involves Saturn, Uranus and Jupiter is actually held together with the Sun, Pluto, Mars, Neptune and Moon at the bottom there. Another lovely triangle. They are held apart by the squares and together by the quincunxes. The squares show the difficulty in understanding. It's after all earth and water one of the triangles and fire and air the other one. So it's the passion versus pragmatism, or whatever else, however else you want to express those elements. But the quincunxes show that as long as we have in mind the improvement of situations, rather than simply trying to prevent change from happening, then the change can come about in a way that is healing. And with Pluto being involved in the whole thing, any healing is going to be transformational. Transformation means that we have no idea at this point how it will look. It's more of the same that we have had in the last few months, that we must go forward in a way blindly, but keeping our hearts lined up with what feels good for everyone. I think this whole month is an opportunity to bring our highest ideals into practical solutions, into practical action. And every new thing we try, we can only do our best with it, not knowing how it will work. I'm not sure who first said the phrase, but I really do love it, that when you're in doubt, pray. Basically, ask for assistance from that level of consciousness which can see it all and knows exactly the way forward for us all. Consider that life is about preparation. Your life is spent preparing for the next bit of time. This is natural for a surviving body. Do not reject the idea as wrong behaviour. It is human. And there is another stream of life, life of the spirit, where all you need is your feet on the ground and your head peaceful and calm, so your heart can wake to love. You need both of these values to be whole, that love may flow through your life. So prepare in such a way that you leave room for being still, and you will never lose touch with the spirit that is life itself.